Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. Okay, this is going to be an odd episode, but I have been thinking more about the Hallmark episodes and just the whole thing about women leaving everything for a man. That's basically the summary of so many of the Hallmark movies. Either that or they are leaving the man because he is being traumatic physically, mentally, financially, or whatever. Yeah, too much of a pattern. I'm seeing way too much of that. And sometimes it would be nice to watch a Hallmark movie where she leaves the man for the opportunity, for the promotion, so that we can see that she is being herself, that she's not throwing it all away for a man. Because a lot of these men don't care anything about us. A lot of these men, they will like cheat and steal and hurt us, but then turn it around and try to blame us for the reasons why they hurt us. Oh, well, if you didn't say that, well, if you didn't have one that looked so much nicer, if you didn't make me feel so dumb. Because if you guys have been listening about Mr. Lockakey, about Mr. No Heart, oh, they like Mr. No Heart. Okay, because literally he Mr. No Heart wanted me to do exactly like the Hallmark Channel movies because okay, listen to the stories as well. Yeah, I have tons of videos about him and so many more to share. But this is a man who he has two daughters, and in the middle of our relationship, he, well, as you can tell on my list, one of my things that I have where if you don't want to adopt or foster, don't talk to me. Leave me alone. We're not gonna date. I don't want like if you want to be friends, we can be friends, hang out or whatever, but you're not gonna date me. There's no way. And one reason I put that on that list, and I am never ever going to change my mind on that, is because of Mr. No Heart. He has two daughters, and he knew this. Like when we start talking off of Plenty of Fish or whatever, it's like like we talked about anime, but also some goals and dreams. And I said I wanted kids, and I said like with my walking and different things like that, I said I probably would rather just like adopt and foster because I would love to give some amazing kids a good home and show them that people love them. And he acted like, oh yeah, that's big of you, that's good of you. But once we hit the 3 or 4 year mark, yeah, he threatened to break up with me if I adopted. At the same time, though, he saw like he knew I was struggling at like right when we first started like talking because like with my walking and being black and a female, it was hard enough finding a job and having so many illegal questions at the interviews going on. But then I started I got one job, or actually I started working with one of my friends who I have stories about that place. And then after I started teaching or substitute teaching, and then I taught at one school for about 4 years, and then got the adjunct professor, and then worked at like not an after school, not a daycare, but after school program thing. That one was interesting. Yeah, that company should. Anyway, so I was drafting ideas for some of my business ideas and even making a list of some of the stories that I would love to write and some of the types of books that I haven't seen that I would love to see. And he begged me to start a business with him, and he knows that's one of my goals is I want to own my own businesses. I want to be independent. I want to be able to travel while I'm traveling, while I'm on the plane or in the hotel room. My phone is going cha-ching throughout the day because I'm making the money, I'm doing what I need to do, that I've worked really hard for. He knew this. But then he begged me to start a business, and a business that he knew a lot about, because before it was legal, he used to grow it up north. Yeah, I'm talking about 420. But he knew that I wanted to do the medicinal, like help people with cancer and like who have seizures and spasms and like even like with depression and things like that. I wanted to like make and create things and help those in those situations. He just wanted to get uplifted. Yeah, that's and he wanted to make money off of it, and he kept promising we're going to make so much money and all this other stuff, but he didn't have a penny to his name and he didn't have good credit. So then he asked me to use my credit cards and my money. Yeah, 6 months later, he quit. And I'm going to tell, like, it's such a long story with that one, but that's the gist of it. I spent thousands, like, and I had to pay off my credit card, and he didn't help whatsoever. And it's still sitting in his garage right now. It's so big, and like the equipment and stuff, I need to hire movers because, yeah, especially with my disability, and I can't do that by myself. But with my disability and where I'm at right now, I can't get it. And it's frustrating because I worked so hard to pay it off. And even when I broke up with him, I told him, I was like, I am going to need my business equipment. And he was like, you care more about that than me? I'm going to record an episode right after about that statement, about you caring you caring more about business equipment than me. And at that point in my life, the answer was yes. Yeah, actually. And so that's one example of, yeah, he wanted me after starting the business and after I had a good amount of clients and I was working on the website and doing the marketing and just a lot of things. And I was so excited. But then 6 months, he just came into the kitchen while I was cooking, or yeah, I think I was making breakfast or dinner or something. And he just told me that he quit, he was done. And in the back of my head, I'm like, do you know how much money that cost me? Because I brought it up to him a couple times and he just shrugged it off. Oh, it didn't cost that much. Oh, you'll pay it off. Excuse me. Like, he begged me to start. Because there were a few times where, oh, let me give you a tour of the house so I can show you how we're going to lay out the business. Let me show you how we can do things and how we can do blah, 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 whatever. And it was just, I'm, you still don't know, you have no idea how disappointed and frustrating it is because even 6 months after, I was still getting phone calls from clients and even some people telling me how amazing customer service I had and how friendly I was and how with the like I wanted to do it in a natural way, or even with turmeric and cinnamon and different like natural herbs and things. Like I was trying to do it totally different. And I had like some of my clients like with the pineapple, with natural pineapple juice and stuff, they were saying how like it reacted a little different in their body with and how much they enjoyed it and how, but it's like it's, and I'm not a medical professional or anything like that, but it's like my grandmother was Native American and my family does a lot of things natural way, and I've always loved natural remedies and researching that kind of stuff. So, and but then I would tell the customers, I was like, oh, I added this with this. It may not make a difference, but it's maybe it might help with either migraines. And so it's like I'm not saying I'm a doctor. I'm not saying I'm a healer. But it's like, while they were taking it anyways, why not add some vitamins and things that can help their body at the same time? So, but anyway, so that was one hint to me that, and that I wanted to break up with him so many times, but I was so scared. If you've been listening to my videos, you already know why. When my mother tells me so many times, as long as you walk like that, no one's ever going to want you, love you, or marry you. I was scared to break up with him because my walking was getting worse, and just terribly, to the point where, I mean, I was in so much pain. And who would want to go out with a woman like, yeah, because even now, like, dating, trying to date after I'm finding out my mother was right. And some guys are like, oh, I would date you. Like, no, I'm like, I'm not settling anymore. I I grew up settling. And the only men that want me only want me for 10 or 15 minutes, some of them 5. And no, thank you. And a lot of them don't see my degrees, they see it as a waste of time. A lot of men see my business ventures as stupid, dumb, or crazy. But then they want to just sit and work on their video games or smoke or be lazy and then blame the government or blame the system or blame something that is imaginary in their head. But then when I'm working hard, they tell me that that's not what I'm supposed to work on. I am supposed to focus on finding a man to have a baby. I am supposed to be a mother. Why did I waste all that time either writing or working on my business or working on my degrees and certifications and things? Why on earth did I do that? And again, he has 2 daughters, and part of me just hopes that his daughters end up dating someone like him. Because I just wonder, is he going to be proud and happy? And I hope that with a lot of men. I hear that, like, there are a lot of men out there that are absolute monsters. But then when it's time for their daughters to date, oh, they are so strict. And all of a sudden, their daughters deserve so much better. But when they were dating, when they were going around, they didn't care at all. If they could treat us like garbage, if they can take control, they will. And they don't show that in a Hallmark movie unless it's the women who run and escape a traumatic relationship. And I don't know, like sometimes I just wish, instead of the woman running from a traumatic relationship, can she just run after her dreams? Can she run after what she's worked hard on? Because some men, like a lot of men, expect women to follow them, but men refuse to follow women because they're the man, they're the power source. There is like just masculinity and alpha male, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I just know, while I was working the 3 jobs, I was paying off the credit card debt and starting to invest and save money for a house. And he saw all of this, but he saw it in a way where, huh, she's going to buy a house. That means she's going to buy a house for us. And he would never buy me anything other than gummy bears or like snacks or whatever. Even for Christmas, he would only buy me a toy, a stuffed dog or whatever. And I remember the last Christmas, I was crying when he gave me it, but I was crying because I was upset. I was furious. 6 years and I'm still only worth a stuffed animal to you? 6 years after loaning you so much gas money because you didn't have enough to take care of your daughters, loaning you money so you can get a car because your truck broke down, loaning you my car so you can work some overtime, and forgetting to pay the light heat bill. So then I'm buying him and his daughters and his roommate food to make sure they're fed, and finding a place for them to go during the Super Bowl so they can be in room temperature. Because, yeah, this was in February. This was in February. Freezing, cold, frigid February. And then there was a snowstorm that night. I still remember that really long drive home. But anyway, he didn't think much of me, and I think that's one reason he loved dating me, is because he was allowed to not think much of me. And even when I could no longer walk for a few months, and even when my mother died, even when I had to have surgery, when I needed him, oh, and when my car overheated, he was never there for me. He always expected me to be there for him, but he was never there for me. When one of his daughters was doing something harmful to herself, he just got tired talking to her. So he went back and played his video games and told me to talk to her. And this is like the first 6 months of me even knowing these girls. And I'm just like, what? Are, and so I did my best. I did my best, but part of me just feels like, okay, so you're gonna go and play video. Like, don't you want to be in the room with me when I talk to her? It's like, or don't, like, why? That still doesn't make sense to me at all. And then he allowed his youngest daughter to literally traumatize like, kicking me, coming up to me when no one else was around and saying, I hate you. And doing so many awful, tearing up my stuff and my property. But his rule was, you have to love my daughters. But my daughters don't have to like you. And at first I thought, okay, this is because of heartbreak. Both of his parents have been through at least 2 divorces. So maybe it's him having parents in and out of his life and people in and out of his life that he's in this situation with his emotions. And then with his ex-wife of 1 year, or they dated for 10, but they were married for 1. It's like she cheated on him with the dishwasher guy at the bar or whatever. So part of me just felt like, I thought maybe it was only going to be for a couple years where he treated me like that, because I thought it's just broken heart. His emotions, he doesn't know what genuine compassion, empathy, and love is yet. So let me just give him time. But the one thing where I keep thinking about the Hallmark movies is the one night when he was playing his video games, and I don't even know what made him think of it. And this is after he took me to his town, and oh my gosh, I was smothered in racism. They stared at me and gawked at, like, they were just awful. And his mother and all of her racist comments, all of her racist comments. And then even with me having my master's, I still haven't told you the Boggle story. But in short, I still remember the night where she handed me her phone and she was like, "Oh, I can't figure this out. Here you go." I've never played Boggle before. And everyone was staring at me, watching me, looking at me. And I later realized this is like the night after she told me the only reason I got into college is because I'm black. And they none of them believed that I had 3 degrees. So I just remember like everyone was staring and even sipping their wine while like looking over my shoulder. My heart is pacing because I'm just like, okay, they act like this puzzle is going to save the world. What is going on? And I realized it was a test to see if I was smart enough to get it through college. That boggle level was a test for me to prove if I was smart enough. Because I did it a couple times, but that night really stood out. And then I just remember even leaving out of the room after and then whispering and the sister-in-law, she said something the next day about it, and something about it wasn't that hard. I don't know why you couldn't get, like, just something really to the point where, like, okay, then you do it. It's like I didn't come up here to get tested and drilled and to see if I am good enough or whatever. And this is the same city where when they took me to their music 4th of July, no, it might have been 4th of July, but there was some kind of festival thing going outside where people were singing and performing or whatever. And all of these white people staring at me to the point where his oldest daughter was crying. And she even asked me, why are they so racist? Because when I said they were staring, it was hardcore glaring, and it just felt so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. And this is Lake City. Lake City. It felt like a sundown town. It literally felt like a sundown town. Anyway, this is like, so when I say that he wants to take me back, this is because he was playing his video games and he turns his chair around and he for some reason, just out of the blue, once the youngest one graduates high school, we're moving up back to my home city. And when he said I was like, oh, so the oldest one or both your daughters are going to go back up with you. So I'm like, oh, okay, so you guys are going back up north. Okay. And then he kind of looked at me like, no, you're going with me. And I just remember taking a deep breath and I'm like, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, no, I'm not. And I even said, with my current job and with my goals and different things like that, I said, I'm not going up there. I don't feel comfortable. Because even when he bumped into his high school classmates, he didn't introduce us. Or he didn't introduce us as us. He didn't introduce me. He just let me stand there. And even his daughter asked, why didn't dad bring you up? Why didn't he introduce you? Why? And I just told her, I was like, racism, racism. And he's an idiot. And part of me just wonders, like, you don't want to be friends with me on Facebook. And part of the reason is because you don't want your friends, your white friends from Lake City, to know that I'm black. And or you still have feelings and love for your ex-wife and you don't want her seeing me. But one thing that really got on my nerves is they always did these family photos, and he would, I just remember, I forgot what year it was for the first one, but he kept telling me to be in the, like, to drive up 3 hours to join them in these photos. And I'm like, we're not married. I'm not, no, we're not a family. We're not married. And he's told me we're never getting married. And so then that's what he told me. He was like, well, we're never going to get married. But I was like, okay, so I'm never going to be in the family photo. That, oh, that got on his last nerves. And so he picked on me, picked on me, picked on me until I was like, fine, fine. But we were driving separately up north. Yeah, he knew not to. It's like I on purpose went there as late as possible to make sure I was late. If I say I'm not going to be in a picture, I mean, he won one of the round, like, because there was a camping thing, and he would not leave me alone and kept hounding me and hounding me and hounding me until I got into the couples camping picture. And part of me is just like, what about if we break up? Because I was already thinking I've been wanting to break up for years, but I was so scared about being single. But I stuck around just so I could say I'm in a relationship. And the same man who could not tell me he loved me until year 5 or 6. Yeah, year 5 or 6. The same man where, when I had to have major surgery, refused to come to the hospital the day of and the day after. And the thing is, I never saw him since my surgery. I never saw him before my surgery. While I could not walk and I was in pain in bed, he just told me, oh yeah, because I asked him to drop off my property. I had a blanket that I bought during grad school because I get cold really easily, so that blanket means a lot to me. And I asked for him to drop it off to my house. He said, no, you can get it once you can drive again. It's like, yeah, you'll come over and things will be back to normal. And I was like, I just want my blanket. And he refused. He doesn't know, like, he doesn't know how many of his actions assisted with me, especially near the end where I was just like, I have had enough. I don't deserve this anymore. I have been as great of a woman as I possibly could to you. But now there will be a part two. But this is the handicapable black woman. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human, and you're human too. And don't drop everything just for a man or just for a person, okay? If you've got goals, live them, do them. You have one life.